actually. I think there's like a 30-second pause. So I've had some where I start talking right away and it's all cut off. So I'm going to just keep it. I'm going to ramble for 30 plus seconds. And 30. Okay. Hopefully I'm live. Good morning and welcome. And I'm late. I got stuck in the kitchen waiting for my yogurt to come down to the temperature that I could put the live cultures in and not kill them. So it took a little bit. So wow. What a day. What a time we're living in, right? Today should be really interesting. I'm recording this on the 20th of January, 2025. And today is the inauguration ceremony. So it'll be real interesting to see what comes about in the next 4 years. Lots of stuff going on. In our personal life, we got lots of stuff going on too. Our daughter and husband, our daughter and son-in-law, they just put an offer in on a house that's close to us, like 3 miles away. And we're trying not to get too excited, but we're already very excited and trying not to so that we're not disappointed. But we should find out today or tomorrow if their offer was accepted or countered. So if you're hearing this before then, please be praying that Yah's will be done. What we want is what's best for their family. And if that means living closer to us, even all the better. So anyway, okay, so this week is week 14. And for those of you ladies that are listening that are in our women's Torah Portions group, with Angelina's group, Agape Love Co., we're getting very close to the time that we actually all started together last year. So 14, I think we started at week 17. So just a couple weeks away. Okay. Ve'era, and it means I appeared. And it is Exodus 6:2 through 9:35. And the prophets is Ezekiel 28:25 through 29:21. The Gospels are Matthew 12:1 through 14, Romans 9:14 through 24, and 2 Corinthians 6:14 through 7:1. And those of you that are reading the extra biblical text, this one was a challenge for me to figure out, to coordinate where they stop, because the stories kind of overlap in these books. So, but I did the best I could roundabout. Jasher is 79:19 through 80:32. Jubilees 48:3 through 48:7. And oh my gosh, I didn't write Josephus. I know I wrote Josephus because it was, maybe I wrote it on the wrong page. Entirely possible. Well, I'll have to add that. No, I'll have to add that later. Interesting, because is it? No. I know I wrote it down. How bizarre. Okay, this morning. Oh well, I'll have to add Josephus later. And I don't know, Jasher's getting a little weird. And I don't know, I don't know. A friend of mine had let me know that in her research that Jasher, the Jasher that we have access to right now, is not the Jasher that's referred to in the Bible. And I've heard some things that it's really far-fetched. There's some serious exaggeration. But that's just my opinion. Jubilees is fascinating. I'm looking forward to next year actually going through it and learning how to tell the times because it's like in the second week of the 50th year, and it's just my math brain has a challenge with that. So Josephus is good. I like Josephus. It's very similar. And what I like about Josephus is he was a historian. And from what I understand, he was a historian after Yeshua. And so his story goes all the way from the beginning through Yeshua. So I'm looking forward to reading like the in-between years that aren't there. So, okay. And there's a couple things, I don't want to take too long in this, but in one of the commentaries I read this morning, this was really beautiful. And it's talking about his name. And I've been learning a lot more about his name, and I'm kind of in a place where I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce his name, because there's so many different pronunciations. And from what I'm learning is they took what we have on record, historical record, the Yod He Vav He, the consonants, but they had removed the vowels, and nobody's sure exactly what those vowels are. So they've done things like added Adonai, the vowels for Adonai in between. And there's another, but so I'm just having a challenge on exactly, because I don't think any of us know exactly what to call him, but it says, don't forget my name. But we do know Yod He Vav He, the four letters, the four consonants. We do know that. So, because we're to call on his name and fall on his name and proclaim his name and praise his name and worship his name. So we need to know his name. But so I've been calling him Yahuwah to this point, but that might change. So, okay. So anyway, this is from the Living Waters commentary from 2008. And it says, this week we will begin the redemption process of Israel from the bondage of Egypt. How beautiful. Here's the redemptive story in the second book of the Bible, and not in, not Yeshua's time, thousands and thousands of years before him. So the prophetic is beautiful. It says, these next chapters will tell us much about the Elohim we serve. I love this because it's true. We start to learn his character as he starts to live with his people. To this point in the Torah, we have mostly seen him as an Elohim who interacts with individuals. Now we introduce him as an Elohim who interacts with nations and with peoples. Last week, we talked about the revelation of his most holy personal name, Yod He Vav He. He always was and always will be. He is the Elohim of the universe. He is also coming to fulfill the promises made to his covenant partners. That's important. His covenant partners, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and has appeared for the purpose of revealing himself as Savior and Redeemer. Exodus 6:2, and God spoke to Moses and said to him, I am Yod He Vav He. I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob as El Shaddai, but by my name, Yod He Vav He, I was not known to them. And this was the first time that it was, last week was the first time it was mentioned, his actual name instead of a title of El or Elohim or Adonai. Yod He Vav He, the personal name of our Creator. It is not Lord or Adonai. The name Yod He Vav He is used nearly 7,000 times in the Hebrew scriptures. The very specific phrase, I am Yod He Vav He, is found 196 times according to the writer's Bible Works program. This is the question. Why is it translated to Lord in our English Bibles? Why do most believers not even know what his personal name is? The reality is that most of the pagan gods were also called Lord. Lord is just a term that is synonymous with master, a sign of respect, but not an actual name. So what's the big deal? Well, we need to know the name of Elohim these days, especially, I think definitely these days, because we're going to need to be calling on his name a lot. So what's the big deal? We need to know the name of our Elohim these days because the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob has a challenger named Allah. Many will tell you that Yod-Heh, Allah, Buddha, etc. are all different names for the same God. But of course, we know that that is not the truth. God or Lord is a word like president. It's a generic title of an office, not the name of the person in the office. Yod-Heh is the Elohim of the Hebrew scriptures. He is specifically the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Isaiah 54:21. Who has declared this from ancient time? Who has told it from the time? Have not I, Yod-Heh, and there is no other Elohim besides me? A just El and a Savior. There is none besides me. Look to me and be saved, all you ends of the earth, all you ends of the earth. For I am Elohim, and there is no other. I have sworn by myself. The word has gone out of my mouth in righteousness and shall not return, that to me every knee shall bow and every tongue shall take an oath. But isn't the name of Yeshua that every knee should bow? Philippians 2:10, that at the name of Yeshua, every knee should bow, and those in heaven and those in earth and those under the earth. His name is a statement of his character. We learn of his character through what he does and through what he says. Scripture teaches Yod-Heh and Yeshua are one. They are ahad in Hebrew. John 10:30, I and my Father are one. Again, we see this oneness in the prayer Yeshua spoke before his crucifixion. John 17:11. Holy Father, keep through your name those whom you have given me, that they may be one as we are. Let's take another look at the beginning verses of this week's Parsha. Exodus 6:2. And Elohim spoke to Moses and said to him, I am Yod-Heh. I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob as El Shaddai, but by my name, Yod-Heh, I was not known to them. In the name El Shaddai, translated as God Almighty, El is the shorter version of Elohim, which means mighty one, and emphasizes his power and justice. Shaddai stems from a combination of shad, meaning breast, and dai, enough, emphasizing his sufficiency as our nourisher. The children of Israel understood the name El Shaddai by the characteristics of being cared for. So I just really wanted to share that about his name, because he's really been, he and I have been working on learning about his name and more, and the importance of his name. So let's go. Okay, so in our commentary here, let's see what it's got to say. Last week's Torah portion, Shemot, told how Moses and Aaron were commissioned by Yod-Heh to go before Pharaoh and deliver the message, let my people go, that they may hold a feast to me in the wilderness. Not only did Pharaoh reject the request, but he also imposed even harsher decrees against the Israelites and caused them to suffer miserably. Moses then appealed to Yahuwah, or the Lord, it says here, who reassured him that Pharaoh would eventually relent because of the greater might of God's power to deliver his people. This week's Parsha begins, God spoke to Moses and said to him, I am the Lord. I appeared to Abraham and to Isaac and to Jacob as God Almighty, but my name, the Lord, I did not make myself known to them. See, and that doesn't make any sense there. So note that the divine name Yod-Heh was, of course, already known in a cognitive sense by the pre-Mosaic fathers. But this passage and the accompanying revelation of Yod-Heh, 4 verbs of redemption, I will free, deliver, redeem, and take you, is intended to indicate that the direct experience of Yod-Heh power and glory was not fully apprehended by the forefathers of Israel. The rest of the Parsha details the onset of the greater might of Yod-Heh, signs and wonders. First, Aaron's staff turns into a snake and swallows the similar rods of the Egyptian sorcerers. God then sent a series of 7 plagues and upon the Egyptians. The waters of the Nile turned to blood. Swarms of frogs overran the land. Lice or gnats infested all men and beasts. Swarms of insects invaded the cities. Pestilence killed many domestic animals, and painful boils afflicted the Egyptians. For the seventh plague, thunder, fire, and ice combined to form a devastating hail that killed livestock and vegetation throughout Egypt. Note, during the Passover Seder, as the Haggadah is read, we also spill a drop of wine at the mention of each plague. Okay, so this is, this was just going over Jewish tradition. So I'm going to go ahead and stop there. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to jump down here. It is interesting to note that before the Lord sent the plague of insects, he instructed Moses to tell Pharaoh that the plague would not affect the region of Goshen, but it would strike the rest of Egypt, that you may know that I am the Lord in the midst of the earth. By means of this plague, the Lord would make a distinction between the Israelites and the Egyptians. Now, this word, pidut, comes from the root pidah, meaning to ransom or to redeem, and from which is derived padan, baben, and the ransom of the firstborn. Okay, so this is where the principle of the ransom of the firstborn, well, not maybe began, but, or maybe. The Lord was foreshadowing once again that Israel's status of his firstborn son was not to be disregarded, even at the risk of imperiling the firstborn sons of Egypt. See Exodus 4:22 through 23. Despite hearing these warnings and despite witnessing these miracles, however, Pharaoh remained proud and unmoved. After Pharaoh still failed to relent, God further hardened his heart, setting the stage for the final plagues upon Egypt and the great exodus of Israel from Egypt. So let's begin. Exodus 6:2. And Elohim spoke to Moshe and said to him, I am YHWH. And I appeared to Abraham, to Yitzhak, and to Jacob. So he appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as El Shaddai, and by my name, YHWH, was I not known to them. So he had not told, this is the first time he has told a human his holy name, Moses, and to share that with Israel. And I also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan and the land of their sojournings in which they have sojourned. And I have also heard the groanings of the children of Israel, whom the Mitzrayites, the Egyptians, are enslaving. And I have redeemed my covenant. Say, therefore, to the children of Israel, I am YHWH, and I shall bring you out from under the burdens of the Mitzrayites, and shall deliver you from their enslaving, and shall redeem you with an outstretched arm. And usually when he's talking about outstretched arm or my right arm, he's speaking about our Messiah. And with great judgments. And I shall take you as my people, and I shall be your Elohim, and you shall know that I am YHWH, your Elohim, who is bringing you out from under the burdens of the Mitzrayites, of the Egyptians. And I shall bring you into the land which I swore to give Abraham and Yitzhak, Isaac, and Jacob, Jacob, to give it to you as an inheritance. I am YHWH. Actually, I'm going to go back and circle all of these where he says that. And Moses spoke thus to the children of Israel, but they did not listen to Moshe because of shortness of spirit and from hard slavery. And YHWH spoke to Moshe, saying, Go in, speak to Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim, king of Israel, Egypt, to let the children of Israel go out of his land. And Moses, spoke before YHWH, saying, The children of Israel have not listened to me, and why would Pharaoh listen to me? For I am of uncircumcised lips. And I find this is, Moses becomes so great in his faith, but here in the beginning, he really lacks faith. And he actually commits lashon hara, meaning evil speaking negativity. And he jumps to the negative instead of faith. And how many of us, all of us, we kind of jump to like, oh, my personal human experience is telling me this is going to go bad. And the Father is like, trust me. So, and Moshe spoke before YHWH, saying, the children of Israel have not listened to me, and why would Pharaoh listen to me? For I am of uncircumcised lips. And YHWH spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, so Moses and Aaron, his brother, and gave them a command for the children of Israel and for Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim, to bring the children of Israel out of the land of Mitzrayim. So bring the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. These are the heads of their fathers' houses, the sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, Hanok and Palu, Hetzron and Kemri. These are the clans of Reuben, the sons of Shimeon, Yemuel, Yemen, Ohad, Yakin, Tesahar, and Shaul, the son of the Canaanite woman. These are the clans of Simeon. These are the names of the sons of, oh, wait a minute. Yep, there we go. These are the names of the sons of Levi, according to their generations, Gershon, Kehath, and Merari. And the years of the life of Levi were 137. And the sons of Gershon, Libni and Shimni, according to their clans, and the sons of Kahath, Aram, and Yatshur, and Hebron, and Uziel. And the years of the life of Kahath were 130 years, or 133. And the sons of Merari, so these are the first priests, coming from the priestly line of Levi. And the sons of Merari, Mahali, and Mushi, these are the clans of Levi according to their generations. And Amram took for himself Jochebed, his father's, wait a minute, am I on the right? Yep, 6-2. Okay. Just seems like this is last week's. His father's sister, his wife, and she bore to him, hold on. No, it's correct. Yep. Okay, so Amram took for himself Jochebed, his father's sister, as wife, and so his aunt. And she bore him Aaron and Moshe, and the years of the life of Amram were 137. We must just be doing an overview here. And the sons of Yitzhar, Orah, and Negeg, and Zikri, and the sons of Uzel, and Mishal, and Elisaphan, and Sithri. Aaron took to himself Elizabeth, daughter of Ananabab, sister of Nashon, as wife, and she bore him Nadab and Abihu. Here's the priests right here. Nadab and Abihu should have been the high priests, but we'll find it didn't go so well for them coming up. So Eleazar and Ithamar, and the sons of Korab, Asher, Elach, and Abinesaph. These are the clans of the Korites. And Eleazar, Aaron's son, took for himself one of the daughters of Pethuel as wife, and she bore him Phinehas. Love Phinehas. He's got a great story coming up too. These are the heads of the father of the Levites according to their clans. And this is Aaron and Moshe, to whom YHWH said, bring out the children of Israel from the land of Mitzrayim according to the divisions. They were the ones who spoke to Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim, king of Egypt, to bring out the children of Israel from Mitzrayim This is Moshe and Aaron, Moses and Aaron. And it came to be on the day when YHWH spoke to Moshe in the land of Mitzrayim, that YHWH spoke to Moshe, saying, I am YHWH. Speak to Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim, all that I say to you. And Moshe said before YHWH, see, I am of uncircumcised lips. And why would Pharaoh listen to me? 7. So YHWH said to Moshe, see, I have made you an Elohim to Pharaoh, and Aaron your brother is your prophet. Interesting. You shall speak all that I command you, and Aaron your brother shall speak to Pharaoh to let the children of Israel go out of his land. But I am going to hearken the heart of Pharaoh, and shall increase my signs and my wonders in the land of Mitzrayim. And Pharaoh is not going to listen to you. And I shall lay my hand on Mitzrayim and bring my divisions and my people and the children of Israel out of the land of Mitzrayim by great judgments. And the Mitzrayites shall know that I, YHWH, that I am YHWH when I stretch out my hand on Mitzrayim. And I shall bring the children of Israel out from among them. And Moshe and Aaron did as YHWH commanded them. So they did. Now Moshe was 80 years old and Aaron 83 years old when they spoke to Pharaoh. That's interesting. Okay. And YHWH spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, saying, when Pharaoh speaks to you, saying, show a miracle for yourselves, then you shall say to Aaron, take your rod and throw it before Pharaoh and let it become a serpent. So Moshe and Aaron went in to Pharaoh, and they did so, as YHWH commanded, and Aaron threw his rod before Pharaoh and before his servants, and it became a serpent. But Pharaoh, who called the wise men and the practicers of witchcraft, and the magicians of Mitzrayim also did so with their magic. And they each one threw down its rod, and they became serpents. But the rod of Aaron swallows up their rods. And Pharaoh's heart was strengthened, and he did not listen to them, as YHWH had said. And YHWH said to Moshe, the heart of Pharaoh is hard. He refuses to let the people go. Go to Pharaoh in the morning, as he goes out to the water, and you shall stand by the riverbank to meet him, and take in your hand the rod which was turned into a serpent. And you shall say to him, YHWH, the Elohim of the Hebrews, has sent me to you, saying, let my people go, so that they can serve me in the wilderness. But see, until now you have not listened. Thus says YHWH, by this time you know that I am YHWH. See, and I am striking the waters which are in the river with the rod that is in my hand, and they shall be turned to blood. And the fish of the river shall die, and the river shall stink, and the Mitzrayites, the Egyptians, shall find it impossible to drink the water from the river. And this is the Nile. I mean, this is their life source, the Nile River. And YHWH spoke to Moshe, saying, Moshe, say to Aaron, take your rod, stretch out your hand over the waters of Mitzrayim, over the streams and over their rivers and over their ponds and over all the pools of water. So not just the Nile, everything. And they will become blood. And there shall be blood in all the land of Mitzrayim, both in wooden and in stone containers. And Moshe and Aaron did so, as YHWH commanded. And he lifted up the rod and struck the waters that were in the river, in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of his servants. And all of the waters that were in the river were turned to blood. And the fish that were in the river died, and the river stank, and the Mitzrayites were unable to drink the water of the river. And the blood was in all the land of Mitzrayim, and the magicians of Mitzrayim did the same with their magic. And the heart of Pharaoh was strengthened, and he did not listen to them, as YHWH had said. And Pharaoh turned and went into his house, and his heart was not moved by this either. And all the Mitzrayites dug all around the river for water to drink, for they were unable to drink the water of the river. And 7 days were completed after YHWH had struck the river. 8. And YHWH spoke to Moshe, go to Pharaoh and say to him, thus say YHWH, let my people go so that they serve me. But if you refuse to let them go, see, I am smiting your borders with frogs, and the river shall swarm with frogs. This would like make my husband lose his mind because he hates frogs. Sorry, honey. And the river shall swarm with frogs, which shall go up and shall come into your house and into your bedroom and on your bed and into the house of your servants and on your people and on your ovens and on your kneading bowls. I picture this, and I just, I'll have some interesting conversations this week about this. And the frogs shall come up and you and on your people and all of your servants. And YHWH said to Moshe, say to Aaron, stretch out your hand with your rod over the streams, over the rivers, and over the ponds, and cause frogs to come up onto the land of Mitzrayim. So Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Mitzrayim, and the frogs came up and covered the land of Mitzrayim. And the magicians did so with their magic and brought up frogs on the land of Mitzrayim. And Pharaoh called for Moshe and for Aaron and said, pray to YHWH to take away the frogs for me and from my people, and I shall let the people go and slaughter to Yahuwah. So here he's saying, finally, he's relenting. Of course, we know that he reneges. So, and Moshe said to Pharaoh, explain yourself to me. When am I to pray for you and for your servants and for your people to destroy the frogs from you and your houses and remain only in the river? So he said, tomorrow. And he said, let it be according to your word, so that you know that there is no one like YHWH, Yahuwah, our Elohim. And the frog shall turn aside from you and from your houses and from your servants and from your people. They shall remain in the river only. And Moshe and Aaron went out from Pharaoh, and Moshe cried out to Yahuwah concerning the frogs which he had brought against Pharaoh. Sorry, I keep jumping back and forth, YHWH and Yahuwah. I've been so used to, when I see it in my Bible, because it is the Hebrew pictogram. I'm not sure how that. I'm not sure exactly, but it's the little characters that are YHWH. When I see that in my Bible, I've translated it for so long to Yahuwah. But like I said, he and I we're processing what I should be calling him, what he wants me to call him. So, and YHWH did according to the word of Moshe, and the frogs died out of the houses, out of the courtyards, and out of the fields, and they gathered them together in heaps, and the land stank. Do you imagine gazillions of dead frogs? That would be stinky. And when Pharaoh saw that there was relief, he hardened his heart and did not listen to them, as YHWH had said. And YHWH said to Moshe, say to Aaron, stretch out your rod and strike the dust of the land so that it becomes gnats in all the land of Mitzrayim. And they did so, and Aaron stretched out his hand with the rod and struck the dust of the earth, and it became gnats on men and beasts. All the dust of the land became gnats in the land of Mitzrayim. And I just, I think there's, when we go hiking up in the higher country, and the gnats, and they fly around your face. And you see like Texas, they got 747s that fly around your face, in Alaska. But can you imagine all the dust? I mean, just gnats everywhere on everything. Ugh. All the dust of the land became gnats, and all the land of Mitzrayim. And the magicians did similarly with their magic to bring forth gnats, but they were unable. They weren't able to do this one. And there were gnats on man and beast. And the magicians then said to Pharaoh, this is the finger of Elohim. But the heart of Pharaoh was strengthened, and he did not listen to them, as YHWH had said. And YHWH said to Moshe, rise early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh as he comes out to the water, and say to him, thus says YHWH, let my people go, so that they may serve me. Or else, if you do not let my people go, see, I am sending swarms of flies on you and your servants and on your people and into your houses, and the houses of the Mitzrayites shall be filled with swarms of flies, and also the ground on which they stand. Can you imagine? I mean, just on a hot summer day down by the chicken coop, it's bad enough, but this is gazillion times worse. So in that day, I shall separate the land of Goshen. Thank you, Father. Praise Yah. He will separate the land of Goshen, and in which my people dwell, that no swarms of flies shall be there, so that you will know that I am YHWH in the midst of the land. And I shall put a ransom between my people and your people. Tomorrow this sign shall be. And YHWH did so. And thick swarms of flies came into the house of Pharaoh and into his servants' houses in all the land of Mitzrayim. And the land was ruined because of the swarms of flies. Pharaoh then called for Moshe and Aaron and said, go slaughter to your Elohim in the land. And Moshe said, it is not right to do so, for we would be slaughtering the abomination of the Mitzrayites to YHWH, our Elohim. See, if we slaughter the abomination of Mitzrayites before their eyes, would they not stone us? Let us go 3 days' journey into the wilderness. Then we shall slaughter to YHWH, our Elohim, as he commanded us. And Pharaoh said, I am letting you go. Then you shall slaughter to YHWH, your Elohim, in the wilderness. Only do not go very far away. Pray for me. And Moshe said, when I leave you, I shall pray to YHWH. And today the swarms of flies shall depart from Pharaoh, from his servants, and from his people. But do not let Pharaoh again deceive, not to let the people go to slaughter to YHWH. And Moshe went out from Pharaoh and prayed to YHWH, and YHWH did according to the word of Moshe and removed the swarms of flies from Pharaoh, from his servants, and from his people. Not one remained, but Pharaoh hardened his heart at this time too, and did not let the people go. 9. And YHWH said to Moshe, go in to Pharaoh and speak to him. Thus said YHWH, Elohim of the Hebrews, let my people go so that they may serve me. For if you refuse to let them go and are still holding them, see, the hand of YHWH is on your livestock in the field, and on the horses, and on the donkeys, and the camels, and the cattle, and on the sheep, a very grievous pestilence. And YHWH shall separate between the livestock of Israel and the livestock of Mitzrayim. And let no matter die of all that belongs to the children of Israel. And YHWH set an appointed time, saying, tomorrow YHWH is going to do this word in the land. And YHWH did this word the next day, and all the livestock of Mitzrayim died. But of the livestock of the children of Israel, not one died. I just think that this is showing his provision to those who are in covenant with him. And that, with the crazy hard times that are coming, will we see difficulties and hard times? Absolutely. The word says we will. But I believe that what's going to be poured out on the earth will be protected. He will protect and provide for us, just like he did here. So okay. And YHWH set an appointed time, saying, tomorrow YHWH is going to do this word in the land. And YHWH did this word on the next day, and all the livestock of Mitzrayim died, but the livestock of the children of Israel, not one died. Then Pharaoh sent, and see, not even one of the livestock of Israel was dead. But the heart of Pharaoh was hardened, and he did not let the people go. And YHWH said to Moshe and to Aaron, fill your hands with ashes from a furnace, and let Moshe scatter it towards the heavens before the eyes of Pharaoh. And it shall become a fine dust in all the land of Mitzrayim, and it shall cause boils that break out in sores on man and beast in all the land of Mitzrayim. So they took ashes from the furnace and stood before Pharaoh and Moshe and scattered them towards the heavens, and they caused boils breaking out in sores on man and beast. The magicians were unable to stand before Moshe because the boils were on the magicians and on all of the Mitzrayites, all the Egyptians. But YHWH strengthened the heart of Pharaoh, and he did not listen to them, as YHWH had said to Moshe. And YHWH said to Moshe, rise early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh and say to him, thus says YHWH, Elohim of the Hebrews, let my people go so that they may serve me. For at this time I am sending all my plagues unto your heart and on your servants and on your people, so that you know that there is no one like me in all the earth. Now, if I had stretched out my hand and struck you and your people with pestilence, then you would have been cut off from the earth. For this reason, I have raised you up in order to show you my power and in order to declare my name in all the earth. You still exalt yourself against my people in that you do not let them go. See, tomorrow about this time I am causing very heavy hail to rain down. Such has not been in Mitzrayim from the day of its founding until now. And now bring your livestock to safety and all that you have in the field, for the hail shall come down on every man and every beast which is found in the field and is not brought home. The hail they shall die. Among those, the servants of Pharaoh who feared the word of YHWH made their servants and livestock flee to the houses. But those who did not set their heart on the word of YHWH left their servants and livestock in the field. Then YHWH said to Moshe, stretch out your hand toward the heaven and let there be hail in all the land of Mitzrayim, on man and on beast and every plant of the field throughout the land of Mitzrayim. And then Moshe stretched out the rod towards the heavens, and YHWH sent thunder and hail, and fire came down to the earth, and YHWH rained hail on the land of Mitzrayim. Thus there came to be hail and fire flashing continually in the midst of the hail, very heavy, such as had not been in all of the land of Mitzrayim since it became a nation. And the hail struck in all the land of Mitzrayim, and all was in the field, both man and beast. And the hail struck every plant of the field and broke every tree of the field. Only in the land of Goshen, where the children of Israel were, there is no hail. Pharaoh then sent and called for Moshe and for Aaron and said to them, I have sinned this time. YHWH is righteous, and my people and I are wrong. Pray to YHWH, for there has been enough of the thunder and hail of Elohim, and I am letting you go so that you stay no longer. And Moshe said to him, as soon as I go out of the city, let me spread out my hands to YHWH and let the thunder cease and the hail be no more, so that you know that the earth belongs to YHWH. But as for you and your servants, I know that you do not yet fear before YHWH Elohim. And the flax and the barley were struck, for the barley was in the head and the flax was in bud. But the wheat and the spelt were not struck, for they were late crops. And Moshe went out from the city from Pharaoh and spread out his hands to YHWH, and the thunder and the hail ceased, and the rain was not poured on the earth. And Pharaoh saw that the rain and the hail and the thunder had ceased, and yet he sinned again, and he hardened his heart, he and his servants. And the heart of Pharaoh was strengthened, and he did not let the children of Israel go, as YHWH had said through Moshe. So that's the end of the Torah portion. Now we go to Ezekiel. What? Okay, there we go. Ezekiel 28:25 through 29:21. Perfect. Okay. Thus said the master, YHWH, when I have gathered the house of Israel from the people among whom they are scattered, I shall be set apart in them before the eyes of the nation, and they shall dwell in their own land, which I gave to my servant Jacob. And they shall dwell safely, and build houses, and plant vineyards, and dwell safely when I execute judgment on all of those around them who despise them. And they shall know that I am YHWH, their Elohim. 29. In the 10th year, in the 10th month, on the 12th of the new moon, the word of YHWH came to me, saying, Son of man, set your face against Pharaoh, the sovereign of Mitzrayim, and prophesy against him, and against Mitzrayim, all of it. I don't know. This might be I need to see if there's anything with the 10th year, the 10th month, the 12th day of the new moon. going to check question mark there to look up when that is. Let's see. I'm sorry. Whoop, up. Son of man, set your face against Pharaoh, the sovereign of Mitzrayim, and prophesy against him and against Mitzrayim, all of it. Speak, and you shall say, thus said the Master Yahuwah, see, I am against you, O Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim, O great monster who lives in the midst of his rivers, who has said, my river is my own, and I have made it for myself. And I shall put hooks in your jaws, and I shall make the fish of your rivers cling to your scales. And I shall bring you up out of the midst of your rivers, and all the fish in your rivers cling to your scales. And I shall leave you in the wilderness, and you and all the fish of your rivers on the face of the field you shall fall, and you shall not be picked up or gathered. I shall give you as food to the beasts of the field and to the birds of the heavens, and all the inhabitants of Mitzrayim shall know that I am YHWH, because they have been a staff of reed to the house of Israel. When they grasped you with the hand, you broke and tore all the shoulders. When they leaned on you, you broke and made all their loins shake. Therefore, thus says the Master YHWH, see, I am bringing a sword upon you, and shall cut off from you man and beast. And the land of Mitzrayim shall become a desert and a waste, and they shall know that I am YHWH, because he said, the river is mine, and I have made it. Therefore, see, I am against you and against your rivers, and shall make the land of Mitzrayim an utter waste, and a desert from Migdol to Sewenth, as far as the border of Cush. No foot of man shall pass through, nor foot of beast shall pass it, neither shall it be inhabited for 40 years. And I shall make the land of Mitzrayim a desert. It's interesting. I want to look that up, the history of it, if it was uninhabited for 40 years. And I shall make the land of Mitzrayim a desert in the midst of the lands that are waste, and among the cities that are ruined. Her city shall be a waste 40 years, and I shall scatter the Mitzrayites among the nations, and I shall disperse them throughout the lands. For thus says the Master YHWH, at the end of the 40 years, I shall gather the Mitzrayites from the people among whom they were scattered, and I shall turn back the captivity of Mitzrayim, and I shall bring them back to the land of Pathros, to the land of their birth, and they shall be a lowly region, being the lowliest of regions, and never again exalt itself above the nations. And I shall make them few, so as not to rule over the nations. And no longer is it to be the refuge of the house of Israel, bringing to remembrance their crookedness when they turn to follow them. And they shall know that I am the Master YHWH. And it came to be in the 27th year, in the first month of the first new moon, that the word of YHWH came to me, saying, Son of man, Nebuchadnezzar, I think it's different here, and I don't think I can pronounce, wow. Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, made his army to serve a great service against Seir. Every head was made bald and every shoulder worn bare, but he and his army received no reward from Seir for the service he had served against it. Therefore, thus says the Master YHWH, see, I am giving the land of Mitzrayim to Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, and he shall take away her wealth, take her spoil, and remove her pillage, and it shall be a reward for his army. I have given him the land of Mitzrayim as a reward for his labor, because they worked for me, declares the Master YHWH. And in that day I shall make the horn of the house of Israel to spring forth, while I open your mouth to speak in their midst, and they shall know that I am YHWH. And now, Matthew 12, 1 through 14. At that time, Yeshua went through the grain fields on the Sabbath, and his taught ones were hungry and began to pluck heads of grain to eat. And his taught ones are his disciples. So in a lot of the other translations, it'll say his disciples. And this one, it's his taught ones. Were hungry and began to pluck heads of grain to eat. And when the Pharisees saw it, they said to him, and the Pharisees are the religious leaders of the time. When the Pharisees saw it, they said to him, look, your taught ones are doing what is not right to do on the Sabbath. But he said to them, have you not read what King David, did when he was hungry, he and those who were with him? How he went into the house of Elohim and ate the showbread, which was not right for him to eat, nor for those who were with him, but only for the priests. Or did you not read in the Torah that on the Sabbath, the priests of the set apart place profane the Sabbath and are blameless? Because the priests, they have to work on the Sabbath. They are the ones that are doing the sacrificing, and they are doing their priestly service on the Sabbath. But they are blameless. But I say to you, in this place, there is one greater than the set apart place. And if you had known what this means, I desire compassion and not offering, and that's from Hosea, you would not have condemned the blameless. For the son of Adam is master of the Sabbath, and having left there, he went into their congregation, and see, there was a man having a withered hand, and they asked him, saying, is it right to heal on the Sabbath? So as to accuse him. And he said to them, what man is there among you who has one sheep, and if it falls into a pit on the Sabbath, shall not take hold of it and lift it out? How much more worth is a man than a sheep? So is it right to do good on the Sabbath? Then he said to the man, stretch out your hand. And he stretched it out, and it was restored, as healthy as the other. But the Pharisees went out and took counsel against him so as to destroy him. And that's the whole thing of the Sabbath. And, people are like, oh, you can't keep the Sabbath. And why do you keep the Sabbath? And it's legalism. And the Sabbath has been one of the very best things that's happened to our home, in that we finally get true rest. And our life has improved exponentially since we started observing the Sabbath, but not in a legalistic way of, I can't throw trash in the trash can. I can't, do the dishes. It's like the Sabbath isn't about can't. The Sabbath is about can and get to spend time resting and learning and fellowshipping. It's so beautiful. All right, next is Romans 59:14, or is it Romans 9:14? Where are we here? There we go. What then shall we say? Is there unrighteousness with Elohim? Let it not be. For he said to Moshe, I shall favor whoever I favor, and I shall have compassion on whoever I have compassion. And that's from I don't know offhand. Shem. I'm running out, but I really want to Shem. Shem. Samuel. Shamu. Maybe. No, because it's not one. Anyway, so then it is not of him who is wishing, nor of him who is running, but of Elohim who shows favor. For the scripture says to Pharaoh, for this same purpose I have raised you up, to show my power in you, and that my name be declared in all the earth. So then, Shem, Exodus, Shemot. These are Exodus. That one, the first one was Exodus 33:19, and this one's Exodus 9:16. So then, he favors whom he wishes, and he hardens whom he wishes. Then you shall say to me, why does he still find fault? For who has resisted his counsel? But who are you, O man, to talk back to Elohim? Shall that which is formed say to him who formed it, why have you made me like this? And that's from Yesh, but I don't know what Joshua. That's from Joshua. Joshua 29:16 through 45:9, and 45:9. Anyway, does the potter have authority over the clay from the same lump to make one vessel? for value and another not for value? And if Elohim, desiring to show wrath and to make his power known, with much patience tolerated the vessels of wrath prepared for destruction, and that he might make known the riches of his esteem on vessels of compassion, which he has prepared beforehand for esteem, even whom he called, not only us of the Yahudim, but also of the nations. There it talks about, here we are. He doesn't just call the Jews, he calls all the nation. All right, and then the last one is 2 Corinthians 6:14, and I know we're close. I'm able to get all of them in today because this is really small. It's 6:14 through 7:1. And do not become unevenly yoked with unbelievers. For what partnership has righteousness with lawlessness? And what fellowship has light with darkness? And what agreement has Messiah with Belial? Or what part does a believer have with an unbeliever? And what union has a dwelling place of Elohim with idols? For you are a dwelling place of the living Elohim, as Elohim has said, I shall dwell in them and walk among them, and I shall be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. Therefore, come out from among them and separate, says YHWH, and do not touch what is unclean, and I shall receive you. And I shall be a father to you, and you shall be a son and daughter to me, says YHWH, the Almighty. Having then these promises, beloved, let us cleanse ourselves from all defilement of the flesh and spirit, perfecting set apartness in the fear of Elohim. Right there sounds to me like we're supposed to be following the laws and staying clean, living clean, eating clean, not mingling with this world and its traditions of men. So anyway, I forgot, I did not pray us in, but I will pray us out. Father Yah, bless your holy set apart name. Thank you so much for today and for everything that's going on in our world right now. And thank you for your provision and your protection and your covering. Father, I pray for everyone who's listening to this right now. There's sicknesses going around right now. Father, I pray that you bring healing upon your people, that you have compassion, Father, and that you forgive us. Oh, and talk about forgive us. Father, forgive us, the American people. Forgive our land for turning against you and for chasing after idols and chasing after traditions and chasing after men and self and money. Father, please forgive us and heal our land, Father. Heal our hearts, Father. Turn our hearts back to you. Oh, turn the hearts of our nation back to you, my King. Bless everyone who's listening to this. Bless their bodies, bless their mind, bless their spirit. Put a protective covering over them, Father, as we go into possibly very perilous times, that you keep us protected under your wing of protection. We give you all praise and honor and glory. Give us a hunger and a thirst to seek you and know you more day by day. Let it be what consumes us. Help us to cut away the trappings of this world, the social media, the news, all of the stuff, Father, and have us focus in on you and teach us to walk in faith, in covenant with you. To you be all the glory, my King. Amen. All right. Hey, just 59 minutes. So right at 1 hour. Be blessed. Have a great week. This is going to be an interesting week. Our new president sounds like he's got a lot of stuff going on this first few days. So it's going to be interesting to see where everything shakes out. So let me know your thoughts on that. Whew. So have a blessed week, and we will, Yah willing, see you next Monday.